Welcome to my YouTube channel, Crafty Pat. Today I have a floss tube for you. If you're new to floss tubes, they're mainly about cross stitch. I have a few other subjects I may touch on as well. This is floss tube number 7 for me. Today is June 28th, 2025. So first of all, I have a finish, I have one work in progress, and then I have a new work in progress and a new start, and want to talk some about that. This is what I did. I had a scrap of this linen, and so I made a little alphabet sampler on it, and have it rolled around this spool thread spool, and I just used small bits of floss that I had that I don't know what colors they were, but they were long enough to make a few stitches. This was fun. I highly recommend doing it. And then I did a little, it's kind of like a blanket stitch, but they call it a nun stitch, N-U-N stitch, that I saw some people do. I still need to attach it to my little plastic spool. I may see if I have a wooden spool that's this height, but this is a great height. I plan to attach it, and then I'm going to do something to decorate the end, at least the top, maybe a big button, or make a little poof to put on top of it. But this was a great way to, use up some thread and use up this little bit of linen. If maybe you can get, if you haven't used linen or certain counts, if you have friends who have offcuts, I would try to get them from, get some offcuts from them. If you have offcuts you don't want to use, share them with your stitchy friends. I got the letters, the charting for that, from this book, the Sampler Motif book by Brenda Keyes. I think I've talked about this before. It's from the mid-90s. And I wanted to talk about it anyway because I highly recommend this book. This is the only thing I've stitched out of it. I just looked through here at some of the samplers. Let me get that out. And found one that I liked the alphabet on. I don't think it was this one, but you can see these great samplers. And just did the alphabet and the numbers off of it. Here's another small one that doesn't have any letters on it. Let's see if I found the one I think I did. I think the one I did was maybe this one. This is the one I used, the alphabet. She has different alphabets on here. And I really like this book because, one, the samplers are not dated. It's, cover that up. They're timeless. And the other thing is she gives you what she calls variations down here. So she'll say things like, add another border to make it larger. Use any of these motifs to make a bookmark or to decorate a small trinket box lid. She gives you variations and ideas of how to use it in other ways. So you can use the same pattern over and over. Here's a picture of a birth sampler. Excuse me. But then she talks about the variations on it, working in primary colors or pastels. I'm sorry, that's probably making some weird noise. Use a smaller backstitch alphabet, maybe put weight in place of birth, maybe put the parents' names. She really does a great job of giving you suggestions. Let me take that cover off and it'll be easier to handle without so much noise. She really gives you some great, there's another one that she did. Some great suggestions of how to make it your own and how to pull motifs off of one of hers to use in some other way. This is like this one, Flora and Fauna. So you could use any of those little motifs on a small. or a combination of them to make a small, a pillow or a flat. And I really like this book. I apparently like it so much, I have 2 copies. Forgot I had a copy, and I saw another copy for sale, really inexpensive. So I bought a copy, and I was like, wait a minute, I already have that. So I'm going to give away a copy. It's like new. It looks brand new. There's no writing in it. It comes with the dust jacket. And I will probably do another YouTube or FlossTube in probably like 3 weeks from now, whatever date that is. I could look at the calendar, I guess. So if you want one of these, if you want a chance at winning it, so let's say July 18th. That's about 3 weeks from now. That's on a Friday. Leave a comment below before July 18th and include the word Brenda, Brenda. Please be in the United States, be over 18, so I can ask you for your mailing address. And don't use words like giveaway, contest, winner, because that attracts the spam bots. But it's a hardback book. It's got 128 pages. It's a DMC. There's even instructions back here about making cards and framing. Yeah, she shows how to do lacing. It may not be the most detailed, but it's pretty close. Oh, here's traditional symbols and what they mean. So that's pretty handy. Interesting to look at. Showing Adam and Eve is good and evil. A cross is fate. The parrot is gossip. An owl is wisdom. She has numerous other alphabets back here. And just and some of the alphabets are repeated, but there's one that's kind of cursive. Okay. Fancy script. So I would like to share with someone else one of these books because I don't need 2 of them. So that was my only finish. 1 WIP in progress because I've been working on this a lot because I've been enjoying it and I kind of want to get it finished. I'm bored behind it, but I am getting a little burned. Homegrown, happiness is homemade. I think the last time I showed it, I was probably about right here somewhere. So I did more of the border fill in. I've been trying to work down. I've done all the back stitching up here. Did this back stitching. I've been working on, I think I have most of this back stitching done for these cows and the teddy bears. That comes from this book from 1990, The Cooler Design Studios, Home is Where the Heart Is, an American sampler. I'll show you what it's going to look like. I'm going to talk a little bit about it. You can see I'm down here to right below the cows. So I'm over halfway finished. I'm going to repeat the houses. I think they're just an image of the ones up there. And then all this food down here. And of course more. So I struggled with this one for 2 different reasons. Well, one was, it's not real obvious on here, even in person, that I have a lot of old thread. I used to cross stitch in the 80s and 90s, so I have thread that's 35 plus years old, possibly. And it's not so bad on this one as it is on another project I was working on a few weeks ago. So dye lots do change in DMC. And I think some of it isn't so much the dye lots changed. I think some of it maybe just the color shifted after 35 years, even though it's been stored in a bag and not in light or heat. I pulled out I was doing this dark blue. I pulled out a new skein. It's not quite the same, but I can't even tell you now where it's different. So we're just moving forward. The really frustrating part is the pattern has errors. So I'm stitching along and I get down here and I'm like, oh, the cows are mirror image, right? So I did one cow, and then I got to do the other cow, and I'm looking at the pattern and went, why is that cow's leg brown? I don't remember the other cow. The other cow doesn't have brown legs. The chart is in color, but it'll have like the same symbol, like there's 3 dots. And the background of the 3 dots may be white, blue, green, brown, you know. And so, but I'm looking at it, and it's like, that's 3 dots on brown. So that it was this color, this lighter brown on the cow. But I look at the picture in the book, the cows have white and gray legs. So, like, oops, okay, I can correct that. I had not done the leg yet. It just kind of caught me off guard. The other thing is the back stitching is hard to read on the pattern, and it's hard to read. I don't have, and this is 18 count, 2 threads over 1. I don't know if I can show you. I don't want to show you the. So the way this back stitching is, see how they list the numbers? So you have to like look through all this text and find, okay, where does it say cow? Where does it say wheat or corn? To figure out which color DMC to use to back stitch these things. Because the back stitch is not all in black. It's different. It's just like a darker shade. And then what seemed to be, it looked like, except for the cow, to use a brown. Okay, well, the cow's body, that's great, but it doesn't say anything about the cow's legs. And I didn't want to use a brown on its legs. So I used a darker gray because I felt like that went better with the white and the gray, the leg that's in the shadow. So I've been having to do a little, and also these teddy bears are not exact mirror images. Okay, that's fine. So I get about done with the cows the other night. I think I was done with the cows. And I'm down here in this blue section. And for some reason, I looked at this and I looked at the picture again and went, something's not right. I can't show you, I can't hold both of them up at the same time. See how this is a dark blue behind the word homemade? And then there's a little bit of light blue right there. That light blue is the same as this blue, not the green, but the blue in there. So you see the dark blue and the light blue of this banner. Mine is backwards. This is the dark blue. This is the light blue. And I was like, what have I done? And I looked at my skeins of floss. I looked at the book. I kept looking between the picture, the pattern, my piece, my skeins of floss, and realized the chart's completely wrong on the blue. This blue that is lighter here, and this darker blue. This darker blue is 792 cornflower, dark. They call it, it's 792, DMC 792. They call it cornflower blue dark, which is some name they made up. DMC doesn't give it the name. And this blue is 793 blue medium. They got the symbols backwards. I have looked at this. I sat there for like 15 minutes one night looking at this going, what did I do wrong? They got the symbols backwards. And there's no way I'm going to redo this because if I didn't tell you, I don't think you would know. And I'm happy with it. It's okay. It doesn't really matter to me. This still looks right. This still looks fine. And this is going to be different with what the picture is. But again, I don't care because those blues are also used down here in this crisscross pattern. So you can see I self-gridded with sewing thread. I take that out before I get to it. I really don't need it much anymore. So I'm just going to, I've worked on this a lot. I'm really kind of getting tired of it, to be honest. I need to put it away for a while and work on something else, because I have moments of I'm really excited and look, I'm finishing little areas, but then other times I'm like, oh, I'm tired of seeing this. And especially the pattern is hard to read because it is in full color, and some of the colors on the key are hard to distinguish between the blue and the green when I'm looking at my working copy. I did note, I don't normally write in books, but I wrote in the book that those two symbols were backwards after I verified it. I sat there one night doing it and I thought, well, maybe I'm tired. The next day I looked at it again. It's like, no, the pattern is wrong. So that one is going to be, the size is going to be 10 inches, no, not 10 inches, 8 7/8 by 12 7/8. So about 9 by 13 inches when it's done. I don't know if I'll frame it or what to do with it. So that's the one that I've been working on for a few months. I've also been working on some quilting, and I'll leave a link below to the playlist for, I inherited a few quilts my great-grandmother made, probably in the early 50s. She died in 62. I never met her. She died before I was born. And she handmade quilts. She did machine sew part of them. And about a year and a half ago, one of my cousins came to my family and said, we have these quilts that great-grandma made. Our dad had saved them. He's long passed. But we've just had them sitting in the closet. Here, Pat, can you do something with them? You're welcome to keep them. So there's two of them. So I will keep one and my sister will keep one. But I'm the quilter in the family. She's not. So I've repaired one, the one that was the easiest to repair. The other one, I've had to buy fabric and tea dye it. And it's hard to work on because it is large and it is dirty and it is a tedious process. As I told her, look, I can make you a new quilt a lot faster. But that's not the point. The point is it's Grandma's quilt and we want to honor her. And it was used. Look, it was used. It was used. It was washed. Not as often as it should be because it's just really dirty. When I first got them, I realized I was spending a lot of time sneezing when I worked on them. So I vacuumed them very gently. And this one, even though it has some holes and you can see the cotton, I hand washed it the other day. Sorry, I'm bumping the table. I took it outside. I have I have a pool that's used for dogs to wade in. Put it on my patio table so I could reach it and not have to bend over. And hand washed it. And the water was nasty. And so I rinsed it again the next day. And I lay it out on the deck. Luckily, I have a big deck, and lay it on the deck and squeeze as much water out of it as I can. And so it's cleaner. Okay, we'll just say it's cleaner. I still don't think it's clean. I think I was still, even the second rinse, I was still wringing nasty, dirty water. And the stains aren't going to come, and I'm aware of that. But I would like it to be cleaner than it is. But I've got it back inside, and I'm trying to, repair 1 or 2 squares at a time. It's tedious, and right now it's hot. Trying to not run the air conditioner at 70 degrees. I'm in Georgia. It's been in the 90s, even with central air and the windows shades pulled and not direct sunlight. It's hard to get it below 75 in the house. So I've been trying to keep it at 78 to help save energy. So having a quilt on me is not great, and I can only work for a short period of time having it on my table. I do that. So I'm trying to go, okay, well, if I can put 1 or 2 squares, replace or repair 1 or 2 squares a day, it's going to take me forever, but at least I'm getting somewhere with it. So that's where I've been spending a lot of my time. The next thing I have to talk about, I'm really excited about. So, I'm not sure where to start with this because it's like 2 or 3 things happened at once to kind of converge for me to start this next project. One of a FlossTube I watch is called Comfort Stitching, and I will leave her link below. Jackie of Comfort Stitching. She does samplers. She does some historic reproductions samplers, and she spends time. I think she's been on FlossTube a little over a year. She spends a lot of time talking about the history of the sampler, the history of who stitched this. What were they like? Talking about how she thinks about it as she stitches the sampler. And I enjoy listening to that. I enjoy history. And I realized, well, I have some books that are about historic samplers, about the history of samplers, particularly U.S. samplers. And I'm going to make a separate video that delves into the few books I have. But looking at them, I was like, this one book, I was like, I want to do one of these historic samplers. And this is the book, Women's Day Book of American Needlework. And I've had it for a few years. And the reason why I have it is because who wrote it? Rose Wilder Lane. Her mother was Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House fame. And Rose was an author herself. And I've been a Little House fan since I was a child and first read the books before the TV show came on. So this was published, I think, in 1962 by Women's Day. And it's almost like a coffee table. It's a good size, as you can tell. It's like 12 by 9 or something. It has 200 pages in it. And it's about the history of needlework in America. It's not about British samplers, Scottish samplers, etc. It's about American needlework. And as you can see, it covers a lot of subjects. It has 140 full-color illustrations, 50 black and white drawings, plus step-by-step instructions for every type of American needlework. So there is a chapter on cross stitch. And it's samplers. Look at this. Look at this sample. This one, they don't know when it was worked. She guessed, Rose said it was probably the late 1800s because of the style of the flowers. So she shows the samplers, but then she has pages she has written about the samplers. And it talking about dutiful little girls were required to be silently repressing their rebellion while they did their daily stint of stitching that must be done before they would be allowed to play. And on about how girls did this cross-stitching. Only a few of the many cross-stitch samplers that the little girls made are safe in museums now. In passing, may I say that every one of them still in an old trunk should be given or lent to a museum at once to keep it safe from mice and moths, flood and fire, and careless heirs. And that was in 1962. And she talks about, how they learned to do that, to do the samplers. And there are, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 samplers in here. So here's one with a big cat on it. Here's 2 more, or 3 more. Some from the early 1800s, and there's more writing. As she talks about, she looks at these people and goes, "Here's when this little girl lived. Here's what was happening during the time she was stitching this." And then there's a chart for one of them. The chart is for this sampler. Okay. And this book also has, it has crochet, crewel work, embroidery, hooking, knitting, weaving. There's a chapter on each one of these: quilting, applique, candle wicking. So there's a chapter on each one where, she goes through and shows, and there's pictures, here are instructions of how to crochet, knit, that's knitting, Crocheting was on another page. There's some quilts, some applique that they show examples of. So in this book, for each chapter, there's one pattern. But the great thing is, you can get a box that has all the patterns. That's what's in here. My box is falling apart. That's what this is. And I didn't bring all my paper in here. This has all the sampler patterns in it, all the cross stitch, crochet, quilting, every pattern that's in that book, everything. I think everything that's shown in that book is in this box. 176 early American designs in embroidery, crewel work, cross stitch, needlepoint, patchwork, applique, quilting, hooking, knitting, crochet, weaving, and candle working, plus a special section on rug making. And you get these. Let me see if I can pull one out. These huge sheets of paper. Pattern. Okay. And instructions. And then there's even, like, for most of them, there's also a little booklet that goes along with it that gives you more instructions about how to do whatever that craft is. So I decided I wanted to do one of these samplers. And I've never done a big sampler. I've done, say, modern day cross stitch from the 80s, 90s, and current. Usually real stitch dense things that are pictures of objects, you know, a child or toys or flowers or whatever. Sorry if my light is going odd because I think this clouds just came back out. So I decided I wanted to do this one. The book calls it the Slate Sampler. Anzolette, Hussey, aged 9 years, November 7th, 1821. And it's on this dark gray, and the book says it's a dark gray. And it's not very large. It is about 11 by 12. 11 across and about 12 down. If stitched on 30 count over 2. And that's what their instructions. And you can see there's some samples of how to do the stitches. And there's some more instructions in here. This is just, I printed this out as my working copy, so I'm not using the actual book because I know how rough I am on books. You can see I've spilled something. So it gives you some basic instructions of parts of this are, these letters are satin stitched. These little birds are satin stitched, but everything else is cross stitched. I don't know what that is. So just some stitches down there. You can also see how this alphabet just kind of goes down. Sort of like my handwriting if there's no line. So I went online, and I'm going to leave a link below to this. This sampler is owned by the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. So you can see it, you can view it online, and you can read about Anzolette. And the other thing that, thanks to Jackie, I went down a rabbit hole about who Anzolette was. You can find her family tree online. You can find her headstone on the website Find a Grave. Wrote down a few things. I'm not gonna sit here and read all of it today. I may read some of it later. She was born in 1812. Her father was a sea captain, and she was born in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. In 1835, she married Ebenezer Knight, who was also a sea captain, and there's information online about him. They had 5 children, 5 daughters: Mary, Ariande, Hannah, Sarah, and Abby. Mary, the oldest one, died at about 14 or 15 years old. Anna died at 6 years old, and Sarah died at 1 year old. Sarah died in late 1847, and a few months later, her 6-year-old sister died. And Sarah died in late 47, and Hannah died a few months later in early 48. And then a few years later, Mary died, and her husband died in 1853. The Ariande, the second daughter, she married, I forgot now, I don't know if I wrote down who she married. She died in France. I'm not sure what her husband did. I don't know if I read that part. She died. Her younger sister, Abby, married her widower, her husband that she left behind. So it's a rabbit hole to go down, but I really like being able to know that information. I know Jackie of Comfort Stitching has struggled to find out information about some of the girls who did samplers that she has reproduced because of various reasons. Either the name was really common in the area, or the records just aren't kept for whatever reason. But the Smithsonian has this online, has a picture of this. The Smithsonian says this is not gray. It is the warp is blue linen, the weft is green wool. The warp is this way on a piece, and the weft is this way. So this is blue linen, and this is green wool, making it look gray, at least in photographs. It says the warp is 24 inches, weft is 34 inches. The thread count, the warp has 24 threads per inch. The weft has, let me start over. Thread count, warp 24, weft 34 per inch. So it's not an even weave. They have another one of her samplers as well. And they have a lot of other samplers you can view online and read information. And they have this information, they have the information on their website if you want to go down that rabbit hole. It says it was silk embroidery thread. The fabric being of linen and wool was called linsey woolsey. Overall dimensions 13 1/8 inch by 10 inch. So the instructions in the book is stitch it on 30 count over 2. So I don't like dark gray. I just don't. So I ordered a couple of fabrics. One is a honey caramel color. And I also ordered this light gray. If you can see it. It is, I have the information here, Parisian gray legacy linen from 123 Stitch. An 1/8 of a yard. And I started stitching. But before I show it to you, let me tell you a little bit more information. So the instructions, as far as telling you which, it's hard to see on this picture what these colors are. And the instructions in this book, they don't use DMC colors. DMC existed back then, but they didn't, it just says, use pink, use yellow, use dark pink. And there's only like 7 colors in all of this. These trees are blue, which maybe that wasn't the original color. Maybe the thread shifted, the color shifted or it faded, and I don't know. So I started thinking, I'm going to have to pick my own colors, obviously. Maybe I just ignored. This leads me to another FlossTube channel, Curious Crafters, and I'm going to link them below. Carolyn and Anna were the Curious Crafters, 2 sisters, and they often do samplers, and they often ask a lot of questions about, well, what if they're curious about, what if I do it on a different fabric? What if I do this? What if I remove the border? And so on and so forth. So a couple of months ago, I guess in May, their FlossTube in May, Carolyn kind of put out a challenge out there of, I can't remember the hashtag she's using, put a challenge out there of take a sampler, print off print it off in black and white. Ignore the color chart. Even a modern day sampler, it may have DMC, it may have Roxy floss or whatever weak style works. Ignore those colors. Just take the sampler and choose your own colors. Choose your own background fabric, choose your own colors. And I thought, well, here's the perfect time because I've got to choose my own colors to some extent. Sure, I could go through and say light pink, dark pink. But I was like, I don't really want blue trees and so on and so forth. And even if I try to match the few colors that are here that I'm given, the name of a color, I have a lot of DMC, that's still going to take a lot of time. And like I said, I didn't like the dark gray background, so I chose a light gray. I wasn't sure if I was going to use the light gray or pink, but I chose the dark gray. And yesterday I got started on it and I was so excited I couldn't put it down, and I've worked on it some today. And then I kind of went back and forth of, do I want like pastel colors or do I want dark colors or bright colors? And I sat down last night with a bunch of my DMC floss, and this is where I'm at. And I am loving it. It's hard to see. Those look like little flowers. That's a light pink. But I'm loving just, changing it up as I do the letters. I think on the original, this border was all light pink. It was all the same. But I thought it looks to me like a vine with little flowers. Let me see if I can get it up here so you can see the flowers. Well, you can see that. Something behind it, maybe. Yeah, see the little flowers? I don't know if I'm going to leave them as pink, light pink or not. I think I am, though. I kind of like that. Now, I haven't used that green or pink in the letters yet, but I have lots, I have lots of alphabet here. And then there's also these border lines between each one. And also these alphabets aren't always complete. So, if you were designing your own and you don't have room to complete the alphabet, that's okay. And I think some of them, one of them may be missing a letter. Yeah, this one down here, I don't know, it looks like there's two V's. I think that's a U and that's a V, and then it just ends. And this one just ends at I. Again, this is satin stitch, this is satin stitch, which you could change those to cross stitch if you wanted. You don't have to do them as satin stitch. So I want to thank Carolyn and Anna for that prompt, and I'm going to post on Instagram. And I'll leave my Instagram handle below as well, because it's not Crafty Pat. It's Pat. I don't remember. I think it's Pat Pit, like Pitter Pat of Little Feet, but Pat Pit. And this is 30 count. I'm doing it 2 strands of DMC over 2 on the linen. I've worked on 28 count before. I'm really enjoying the 30 count because it's a little bit more stable than the 28 count. The 28 count kind of moves around. As you can tell, I think you can see the hoop marks. I stitch in a hoop. I like it to be nice and tight in the hoop. If I try to stitch in hand, because I'm right-handed, I'm doing this to tension it, and it makes my thumb sore. My thumb joint gets sore, so I prefer a hoop. I've done down the borders, and I'm just kind of choosing these colors as I go. And I have made notes, wherever I just stuck that, on one of these. I've been making notes of which DMC I was using for each letter in the first one, because I want to repeat those colors down here, so in case my floss gets, separated from the project. So I've got 2 different greens going on. I've got this like hot pink, this darker red, a yellow. I think that still shows up, even though I said the pink shows up. It looks kind of white on camera, the little pink flowers. And at some point I'll use this pink and green in some of the letters. I have to say, I'm really enjoying this. It is such a big relief after working on this thing that is so stitch dense. Because it's like, whoa, I've covered a lot of area very quickly. And if I need to unpick something, it's not next to another color. That I can unpick a letter, or I can unpick part of this, because I did a little experimenting at first. So this first corner, I was doing it in light pink, and then I was like, I don't like that. Let me try the green. So I had to unpick some pink, but it's easy on this. It's easy to unpick it, and there's enough contrast between the thread I'm using and the background. And this is so, it's just once you start, this is a rhythm, a repetitive 3 this way, 3 down, 3 down, 3 vertical, diagonally, 3 down, 3 across, 3 down, same across the top. And then the same with doing these little flowers. Once you do 1 or 2, you don't have to look at the pattern again. Now the letters, I do kind of have to look at the pattern because I haven't done that many of them. But you can kind of glance at the pattern and then you're pretty good to go. You can, you know, by the time you get halfway through a letter, you know where you're going. So highly suggest you try to do this. If you haven't tried to do a sampler on linen, the 30 count linen, I do use it. I could see it without my magnifier, just with my bifocals, but I'm more comfortable with my magnifier, one of those big magnifiers with a light. It just makes it go more smoothly. The thing to remember when you're using the magnifier is periodically take it away and hold it at arm's length and look at it, because it's going to look different than it does under the magnifier. I'm liking the colors I picked out. They're kind of bright. Most of them are pretty bright, and I'm okay with that. And I will just, randomly choose colors. I'm not going to add a lot more colors. I think I have about 10 so far. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9. I think I have 1 or 2 more in what I pulled. I don't want to add too many colors because I want to repeat some of these colors. And again, though, I don't want to keep looking at, I actually have these, I printed this off twice, but I'll put that away. And I just keep my eye on the pattern and this. And I ignore the symbols on the pattern. They're all the same to me, whether it's an X or a C shape or whatever. I will say the other thing about the pattern in here, the other thing about the patterns in this book is like the shape of these trees. They don't show you every X. They just kind of make an outline of the X and put one symbol in the middle. Now this one does show, I think this one shows I don't even know if it shows all the border. It's just like it shows you enough and tells you to repeat it. Which on these bigger patterns, that's going to take some thought. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me find it. Okay, so on this pattern, you see this border? This chart only shows you like a corner and then just tells you, repeat it. It doesn't chart out all of these in between. I know this is old, but from what I understand, it is still under copyright. So I'm not going to call it names, but there is somebody who has, I don't know the person at all, but I know there is someone who has taken these and scanned them in and is selling copies. Use your best judgment on that. I don't know what you're going to get. And like I said, you can get this book on eBay for about $10. You can get I saw some people have the book and the box for about $20, maybe a little bit for shipping. So $30 or $40, you can get the whole set. And then, but I would recommend you have a way to make a copy, a working copy, so you're not using this humongous sheet of paper to stitch from, because this isn't a cross stitch one, but it's folded out. That's only half. It's like 3 feet or something across. It's huge. So I am going to show you, because just show you again what I'm talking about. Let me get a piece of paper so you can see these are blank. So they expect you just keep reading that section to keep going down, and of course flipping it for, the one. The other part is, see this big blank space? They don't give you the chart for the girl's name. And so on the chart, I don't have this part. They didn't expect you to put her name on there. They expected you to personalize it yourself. They don't even give you this font and charting. The chart has grid squares on it, and they expect you do your own. So on this one, I thought about just excluding that. Just, making the border shorter and excluding that. But then I've decided what I'm going to do is put another alphabet in there. I don't necessarily want to put her name in there. I don't want to put my name and my age in there. It just would look awkward. Plus, my first name and my last name, even my first name and my maiden name, short. So I didn't really want that. And then some people do want to put the original name and date on there. I will put my name and date somewhere on here. I may do like another thing Carolyn and Anne, the Curious Crafters, talk about, is they have a maker's mark, which is a little symbol that they put somewhere. And sometimes they do it in the same color thread as the fabric. So it doesn't really stand out, but if you look closely, you can see it. I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't have a maker's mark. I'd have to come up with it. But I may, in 1/1, put my name and date somewhere. I'm going to put another alphabet in here. I looked through the patterns that came with this book. Excuse me. Found another alphabet that will fit here. But also remembering, if it's too big, just stop. Just put what you can and stop. And if it's not big enough, then like this one, there's like some little, swirly gig. I can just put some other little symbol, put another bird. She just left empty space. That's fine too. But I could, if I end up with a lot of extra space, I can take a motif off of something else and put there if that's what I want. That says that you could put other motifs here. You could take motifs off of other samplers and put. So I've rambled on for a long time about this, but I'm really excited about it. My head was spinning last night I really enjoy this sampler. I've never done anything like this before, and I was thinking about all the reasons why I enjoy it. I enjoy the choosing my colors. I enjoy this fabric, legacy linen, I believe is what it's called. Yes, right there. And it comes in other colors. This one only required a fat 8. I think it's, I measured, and I left a lot of margin in case I decide to frame it. The examples in the book were hem stitched, and they even give you directions about finishing and framing. And it says, we have omitted names and dates from the charts. Use an alphabet and numbers from any one of the charts. Plan and draw in your own name in the proper place on the chart you're using. Then follow this for embroidery. Since the sampler is washable, it can be finished simply with a 1/4-inch hem and hung on the wall without any mounting or framing. A double-pointed steel knitting needle or a curtain rod slipped inside the hem at top and bottom will help it hang evenly. If the sampler is to be framed, it should first be mounted on cardboard. And they did. Samplers were framed back then, from what I've been reading. I've been trying to read up on samplers, and they were framed. There are, records of samplers being framed, but not all of them. And this one was hem stitched. You can't really see it, but yeah, it was hem stitched. I think it may be in a frame now. So I like the idea of hemming the top and the bottom just for a small dowel or curtain rod to go through, and or a knitting needle. I have some. For some reason, I don't knit, but I have some metal knitting needles, and you can often find them at thrift stores or people who knit, who like to no longer use these aluminum needles. And I would think hanging them on the aluminum needles would be safe, as far as you're not going to get anything like you would with wood dowels. You would need to make sure it's not leaching any stain or anything into your cross stitch. Obviously, it takes some time before that would be a problem. But so yeah, that's I'm calling her Anne. Apparently, sometimes she spelled her name A-N-N. Anzolette. Oh, that's the back. Feel free to see my back. Yes, I carry threads. I also read in one book that the back of antique samplers are not neat. I don't want to see it, and I'm not seeing it behind, from the front. I don't see the threads showing through, but I'm not starting and stopping at each one of these little ones. And these letters, I'm not starting and stopping at each letter. If I've got enough thread to make 2 letters, I just keep it going. And I am about to go work on this some more. I am so excited about this. And I'm going to post on Instagram, like I said, and tag. I meant to write it down, and I don't have my phone handy. The hashtag that Carolyn and Anna are using, their Instagram is We Are Curious Crafters. I think it's We.Are. Curious Crafters. But if you search for We Are Curious Crafters, you will see them. And one of their reels shows the hashtag. And I'm just drawing a complete blank now on what it's called. So I will find that out and post it below. Again, if you want a chance at winning this book, leave the word Brenda below. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button. I'm trying to post every 2 or 3 weeks, and I do plan on having something upcoming more about this American Needlework book, as well as a couple of other books I have that are about the history of American, specifically cross stitch, and some of the things I've gleaned from reading this book. I'm not going to sit here and read the book, obviously, but some of the things I've picked up from reading it that I found interesting. I think others would find it interesting. I hope so, anyway. So I have rambled on for almost an hour. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.